We have a president right now who is obfuscating his responsibilities that should be very clear based upon the Constitution.
A few moments later.
But he will need a better tool to address a budget shortfall of $175 million.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to manage it because that's what leadership requires.
But how the mayor will manage it is a concern to many city council members. 18 have now signed a letter to the mayor calling for council authorization of any funding changes instead of unilateral action by the mayor's budget team.
To say that he's going to manage it because that's what he's elected to do isn't enough. We are the ones who appropriate the budget.
And we are back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know, it helps us out a lot. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you this content. And it gets us in the YouTube logarithms. So we appreciate that. Y'all, check this out. Your boy, Brandon Johnson, y'all. Did you see that coming up clip at the beginning? Did you see how he essentially said Donald Trump wants to run ripshod over the White House and he wants it all his way, right? And then when it comes to Brandon Johnson having to work with his legislature to get things done, he's like, nah, man, it's all me, man. Y'all don't have any say-so in this one. This is all me. Y'all see how that works? Why is it that when you do it, you're a tyrant? When you do it, you're a bad guy. You're a bad boy. But when I do it, it's like, nah, this is well within my powers. When you say it's well within your powers, you're a tyrant. But when I say it's well within my powers over the objections of 18 signatures of my legislature, when I say that, no, I'm just trying to educate my legislature that, no, I got this. You see how that works, y'all? Quite curious, isn't it? So, y'all, we have been following this Chicago situation where they are waiting for a $175 million payment from the Chicago public school system. And this is in order for them to balance their budget, which needs to be accomplished by this Sunday, which is 2 days from now. And if you remember, I'm not going to play the clip again because I've played it so many times in so many videos, but basically a reporter had asked this illustrious, esteemed Mayor Brandon Johnson, who has an approval rating well under 10%, the esteemed mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. She asked him, hey, Mayor, what would happen to the budget if the school system they just don't pay you the $175? And he told her in no uncertain terms, hey, man, that guy gave me his word, man. And she said, yeah, okay. She and another reporter, okay, he gave you his word, but what if he just can't deliver or he doesn't deliver? And this guy had absolutely no answer. You're going to see from this news clip, he still doesn't have an answer. This is days and days later. This is after it's clear that the 175 millies probably is not coming. It's not on the way. And he still doesn't have an answer as to what it is that he plans to do to cover that $175 million shortfall. Let's take a look.
If Chicago Public Schools do not repay that pension payment by the end of the month, the city will wind up the fiscal year $175 million in the hole, and the mayor still is not saying how he will address that budget shortfall. Mayor Brandon Johnson wielding a sledgehammer at a groundbreaking announcement for new housing in a Loop office building, but he will need a better tool to address a budget shortfall of $175 million if CPS does not repay the pension money before the end of the month.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to manage it because that's what leadership requires.
But how the mayor will manage it is a concern to many city council members. 18 have now signed a letter to the mayor calling for council authorization of any funding changes instead of unilateral action by the mayor's budget team.
To say that he's going to manage it because that's what he's elected to do isn't enough. We are the ones who appropriate the budget. We are the ones who take his word at the revenue projections and the expenditures, and now we have a problem. And we need to all get in the room and figure out how we're going to move forward.
The mayor saying that without a payment from CPS, everything is on the table to address the shortfall.
I'm going to continue to work with my budget and finance team. We're going to work with city council. I've had to manage these crises before. The fact of the matter, though, is that we have these district entanglements with the school district and the Chicago Public Schools that we have to unravel.
Alders want one of the mayor's Springfield priorities to be getting lawmakers to formally move the city's pension payment obligation to CPS.
That should be priority number one, getting us out of this bind moving forward so that we're not having this annual financial crisis as to whether or not our newly elected partners over at the Board of Education are going to make good on the payment that they owe the citizens of the city of Chicago.
So far, the mayor has not responded to the aldermanic letter, and time is running out to find a solution to the pension payment predicament.
So now his own legislature is saying, hey, look, you need to consult us and get our approval on what you're going to do in order to cover this shortfall. And he's like, nah, man, this all me, right? So you see how when certain executives do it, they are tyrants. But when Mr. Johnson, the illustrious, esteemed sub 10% approval rating, Mr. Mayor Johnson, when he does it, nah, this is just what I do. You know, this is well within my powers. Now, y'all, one of the reasons why you may see me with a little bit harsher tone toward Mr. Johnson today is because I saw this clip. This clip deeply disturbed and disappointed me. I'm about to show it to you. Trigger warning, people. You might be triggered by this clip. I hate to see people talk like this. I literally hate it. It is one of the things that gets me. It's one of the things that makes my blood boil. Okay. But I'm going to show you the clip. I just saw this morning. I was not expecting this. I wasn't expecting to see an educated, esteemed, illustrious mayor with a sub 10% approval rating. I wasn't expecting to see somebody with such a position talk like this. But here we are in the world. Let me show it to you.
I wish the next time you talk to the committee chair, ask him if he would be interested in doing a hearing on how reparations can transform people's lives. Just ask him, but here's what I'm getting at. This oversight committee, of all the things that they want to have sight over, they should look at the White House right now. That White House is being ran in one of the most raggedy forms of government that I've ever seen. If anybody is questioning whether or not what our country would look like had the Confederacy won, there should be no question now. They want us to be afraid. Do not be afraid, Chicago. Whether it's an invitation or a subpoena, I'm always going to stand up for the interests of working people, and I will not be intimidated by some weak individual who won't stand up to an individual who believes he is a supreme being right now. You're worried about Chicago? Look in your front yard. We have a president right now who is obfuscating his responsibilities that should be very clear based upon the Constitution. He is rejecting the Constitution of the United States of America. And if they want to have a real discussion about undocumented individuals who are criminals, they should look at the very individuals who enslaved my people and colonized this land. So whether it's an invitation or a subpoena, the people of Chicago will not be intimidated or threatened by any individual who is unwilling to look in their own front yard of where the real threat to our democracy lies.
So why do I dislike that kind of talk? Why does that disappoint me so much? Because it's blather. That's why. Because it has absolutely no positive effect on the world at all. It is literally a complaining session. It's not going to lead to any positive activity. It's not going to make anybody feel better. It's not going to make anybody look at their life and say, yes, I can. It's not going to do anything but cause people to feel less than, cause people to blame each other. And the solution that he is advocating is never going to happen. So essentially, it's a big complaint session, and it's bringing people's self-esteem down. That's the way I look at it. I've been saying this for years and years, decades at this point. I literally despise when people do this. Even if what he is saying is true, there's a lot in this world that you can say that is true that still is totally unhelpful. Okay, and that's the way I see this type of talk. Very disappointed in the illustrious, esteemed, less than 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. So we're going to see what's going to happen, y'all, because we have just 2 days until this budget shortfall something has to be done with this budget shortfall of 175 million. Remember, the illustrious, esteemed mayor, he did not make a plan, apparently. And now it seems like who knows what's going to happen. You know we're going to be here for it. But there's one other thing I want you to hear, y'all, because remember, the reason we're even talking about the illustrious, esteemed mayor is because his city spent all the money on migrants. Now, a lot of y'all are like, hey, kick them out, send them home. I'm like, just take care of your constituents first. Help the migrants with the surplus. Once all your constituents are good, fed, working, educated, well exercised, well nourished, you have some extra, you have some surplus. All right, now you can help other people. That's the way I look at it. And so when the Trump administration came in, you know, they went after him for his so-called welcoming city status. This means that the policy of Chicago, you're going to hear him characterize his welcoming city status. He's lying, basically. He's minimizing which politicians do, right? So this is really no slight to him, but he's minimizing the implication of this welcoming city status. Essentially, it's not just, hey, we're not going to do the job of the federal government, because in actuality, at least from the federal government standpoint, when when they have somebody in their custody, they won't even assist just by turning that person over to the federal government. They won't even. So it's not like hey, go out and use your police to find people. It's like, when you come across people, will you just give us a call? No. Okay, so that's not doing our job for us, right? You're doing your job. You're finding people while going about your routine policing tasks. Give us a call when you find somebody who's undocumented. So you're not doing our job for us. You're doing your job for you. But then when you, while doing your job, come across somebody, hey, pick up the phone. And they're like, no, right? We're not going to pick up the phone. So don't listen. Don't believe his characterization of this. It's political talk. It's frankly not true. It's lying by omission, in my opinion. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this interview so you can hear more about Brandon Johnson's opinion on this entire immigration kerfuffle.
It's fair to say right now you don't have partners, right? And in fact, if you look, Chicago, Boston, some other cities, you've all been kind of deemed sanctuary cities because of your immigration and migrant-friendly policies. And that has, in effect, put you in the line of sight by the administration, saying, look, if you do not cooperate, you are part of the problem. Can you talk about that in particular?
Yes, I can. So for 40 years, the city of Chicago has had a welcoming city policy. And what that policy just simply states is that our local law enforcement will not dub as federal agents. Essentially, we're not going to stand in the way and impede cooperation with the federal agencies, because we do cooperate with them on a regular basis. We're just not going to have our local law enforcement behave as ICE agents, because what it does is it simply breaks down the trust between community members and law enforcement, local law enforcement. And there's enough for them to do already. That policy was put in place by the first Black mayor in the history of the city of Chicago, along with the first corporate council, because they understood that in order to create safe communities, you have to have trust amongst law enforcement. And if agencies are dubbing as federal entities, it erodes that trust. We cooperate with the federal government on a multiple of issues. What we're not going to do is have our local law enforcement lose the trust of the community simply because the federal government is asking local law enforcement to do their job.
So Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he'd prosecute you if you interfered in the raids. You said you won't get involved, but are you concerned?
Well, what I find it to be is reprehensible, to be perfectly frank with you. You know, the city of Chicago has shown up for this country time and time again. And what we're simply asking from the federal government is to recognize the beauty and the value that cities across America bring. My responsibility in this moment is to show up for the people of Chicago, even when the federal government dismisses working people.
But I think, just Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt. I want to ask you this question in a very straight ahead way. Do you have concerns about the administration coming after you if you are not sufficiently cooperative in an area like immigration enforcement?
Look, I can't control what the federal government does. We cooperate with the federal government on a variety of issues. This is not anything new. What we're simply saying is, and this is what cities across America have said, local law enforcement should not have to do the job of the federal government. It's just simple. It's just pretty simple. And if the federal government, and the Trump administration in particular, wants to have animus and disdain towards the people of Chicago and the things at work, of course we're going to resist that. And of course we're going to continue to make sure that we do our part. The fact of the matter, though, is because of the investments that I've made for working people, crime has gone down in the city of Chicago. The federal government has a responsibility, as it has always had, that it has the authority to deport individuals that have committed crimes in this country that are here without documentation. They can do that. We're not impeding, we're not interfering with that process. And if they want to work with the local government, as they have had in the past, our local law enforcement is prepared to respond, of course, when they show up with a criminal valid warrant. It's just that simple.
Now I'd like to hear from y'all. I'd like to hear some predictions, y'all. T-2 days until the budget shortfall has to be resolved. And it looks like old Brandy Boy is not able to get the 175 millis from Chicago Public Schools. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think he's going to act unilaterally like a tyrant? Or is he going to consult with his legislature, the Aldermen, as he would expect a national executive to do? And also, tell me any other comments you have about this video today. I know I went on a bit of a rant, y'all. Anybody who's with me from my YSL days, you know I will go on a rant on you. I've been trying to keep these videos more or less neutral, right? I've been trying to keep them neutral, but I might start ranting a little bit more, particularly on the other channel. So anyway, y'all, I do appreciate y'all for watching. Please stop right now, hit the share button, share this video out with somebody who may be interested. Put in their email, WhatsApp, text message, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Put them all in. Also, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all, and we'll see you back in the next one.